Hello, my name is Gia Arroyo, and today I will be talking about my experience in digital news production, which is my 7th course here at Full Sail University's New Media Journalism program. Going into this course, I had 3 expectations. The first one was that I was going to probably work really hard, and I can safely say that this is the hardest I've worked in the last few months. I was met with many challenges, but I was able to overcome them, some seamlessly, some not as seamless as I had hoped. The next one was that I had to find new angles, new people to connect with. That was probably the scariest part. Going into at the beginning of the course, you don't really know what's going to be coming each week, and so each week I would get more and more terrified, I guess, for like momentarily, but after some research, I would find a new and exciting angle or a person that could help me elaborate on sustainable fashion and its impact. And the last expectation that I had was feedback. So this is my second course with Professor Jeff Sharon, and I loved the feedback that he provided for us weekly the first time I had him. So this time when I went into the course, I knew that that was going to be a great help, a great way to make my stories better. So each week I was excited to get a notification from him, and he would point out different angles. He would point out things that I knew were not where they had to be, and he confirmed it. And I had been like, once I would submit the assignment, I would be like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done this. And when I would get his feedback, it was like a confirmation, like, yep, I knew it, I should have done that. So yeah, I greatly appreciated his feedback, because when he's sharing the knowledge that he has, you can tell that he means it with so much like kindness, and he's intentionally trying to make you a better journalist. So those are my expectations, and I definitely was correct with all of them. They definitely this was definitely my most challenging class, but I feel like it allowed me to grow in a way that I hadn't in a realm where I'm not comfortable with, which is with cameras and lighting and editing. So yeah. So out of all the assignments that I did this course, I think my favorite would be when I covered St. Vincent de Paul, located here in Apopka, Florida. I was nervous going in. I'm a frequent shopper, so even making that connection with the store director, Kimberly Albritton, was nerve-wracking. But the day that we sat down for our interview was probably the best 30-minute interview I've ever had, even though what I ended up submitting was maybe 2 to 3 minutes long. The conversation that I had with her was really impactful, because I was learning about things in the Apopka area, of the people that they were impacting, the missions that they were doing, their volunteer opportunities that, as a consumer of that store, I had no idea about, that I was unintentionally making an impact by the things that I was purchasing there. I wasn't aware of their mission, so now I can shop there in confidence, because I know the mission of the store. I know the heart of their store director, who I could just see the passion in her eyes. And it was so difficult when I was interviewing her, not like responding and having like a full-on conversation, because I didn't want to interrupt her and maybe cut off like a good soundbite or some good information that I would have to then edit, and I just didn't want my voice to be in it. It was really difficult, because I was so excited, she was so excited, that to the point that after I had stopped filming, I think I stayed around for like 15 more minutes, and we kept talking about different missions and just kind of the impact and the longevity of the things that they were doing. And so for that reason, I would have to say that this was my favorite assignment, and I could definitely see myself not only volunteering there, but hopefully going back and trying to find another story, because I really had a good time over at St. Vincent de Paul. I've mentioned it a few times, especially in last course's mastery journal, but being in charge of a camera and recording and all of that technical stuff, is not my strong suit. I don't personally think that's where I thrive. So looking back, if I could change a few things, I definitely would have changed some of the shots that I recorded. I feel like I could have been a little bit more creative. Sometimes I felt like they were repetitive or they were the same shot just from a different angle. I wish I would have done more close-ups. I wish I would have gotten more people in certain of the shots, but I also had to be mindful of the area. There was always people shopping, and often you can tell when people are uncomfortable with you filming. So I wish there was just a better way for me to navigate that. So I'm not sure moving forward how I would do that. Obviously asking for their permission, but I think just beforehand, before even shooting, maybe scoping out, going to the location, seeing what's available, and then making a list, and then going back at a separate time to kind of shoot, because definitely that's what I struggled with. I would arrive at the scene and I would be like, okay, let's just go, and I would just go off filming, and I felt like I didn't have like an organized strategy for basically getting my shots. I would just kind of go in and I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna shoot this, I'm gonna shoot that, fingers crossed it comes out well. So definitely be more intentional about my shots, and definitely try to stabilize, because there were moments that my shots were wiggly and I would be with the tripod, but I would be like holding it in a weird angle. So yeah, I just need to perfect the technical side because I'm actually really enjoying it. So that was definitely something that I would adjust or change if I could. During my time in digital news production, I realized something that I don't know why I hadn't crossed my mind before, but I can still be a journalist when I'm not associated with an organization. I'm still a journalist. This allowed me to really consider independent journalism or freelance journalism, or I think it's called independent journalism, where I just grab my camera, my tripod, and I just go out in the town and I find a story and I chase it. And so that suddenly, it was like a light bulb went off, that I realized that I could do this even with things in my community. I know that I live in a really small town and there aren't a lot of people covering stories, and I thought to myself, like, why doesn't Apopka have this? Like, who is waiting for Apopka to do this? So it's really got my gears thinking about things that I'm going to be doing after graduation, and I can kind of see myself slowly doing this as a job, finding stories within my own community, and it's really exciting because I don't know why. I think it was just the course and the assignments that kind of switched a light bulb in my head, and so it was really exciting once I realized that, because I was having such a fun time, like, connecting with people via either Instagram or email, or I was making so many phone calls trying to make connections that I realized how fun this was, and I could honestly see myself pursuing like independent journalism.